Did you feel that? There's a weight, a silence that doesn't come from peace. It's a kind of emptiness that screams even when everything around you is calm, and no one sees it, no one notices. You get up, you move, you respond when spoken to, you even smile. But inside, your spirit is stumbling. It's not a lack of faith. It's not a lack of God. It's the weariness, the buildup, the hiding place the enemy found inside the things you thought you'd already overcome. You try to convince yourself that you're fine, that it's just a phase, that it's not that serious. But something is slipping away, isn't it? And you feel it. You know it. You can't explain it, but you notice how much easier it's become to give in to doubt, to anger, to that apathy that paralyzes. It's not spiritual laziness. It's exhaustion. Tired of fighting and seeing no change. Tired of praying and feeling no response. Tired of trying not to feel what you feel. And it's there. It's there that the enemy hides. Not in the big sins, not in the scandals, but in the little things. In that resentment you brushed off. In that sharp comment you pretended didn't hurt, but still echoes. In the disappointment you swept under the rug. And slowly, the fortress of your spirit starts to crack. You don't see it, but there are fractures. And it's through those fractures that he slips in. He whispers that no one cares, that you'll always carry this emptiness, that it's too late, that this sadness is just part of who you are now. But he lies. He always lies. And the more you ignore it, the more he poisons. He starts infecting the roots of your soul, and suddenly, you don't recognize who you see in the mirror. The light in your eyes fades. Hope feels too far away. You still believe, but you believe with weariness. Have you ever wondered why it hurts so much to remember? Why certain memories still burn, even after so much time? It's because you weren't healed. You just stopped touching the wound. But it's still open. And open wounds attract the enemy. That's where he operates, in denied pain, in repressed anger, in unspoken disappointment. There is no healing where there is denial, and no peace where there is escape. You need to stop saying you're okay. You need to stop convincing yourself that you can take a little more. You need to admit you're tired, that there are places in your heart hurting more than you dare to admit. You need to stop pretending you don't feel it, because the Holy Spirit only heals what is brought into the light. He doesn't invade, he doesn't force, he only touches where he's allowed. And many ask for peace, but refuse to surrender the pain that keeps peace from entering. You're holding tightly to a pain that's destroying you. Why? Why keep carrying this bitterness? Why protect a wound? You think you're being strong, but you're not. You're wearing yourself down. You're opening doors without realizing it. You're creating space for spiritual confusion. You can't pray like you used to. You don't feel his presence like you used to. You don't sing like you used to. You don't believe like you used to. You keep doing what you've always done, but without life. Your faith is still there, but it's suffocating. And that scares you, because you don't want to drift away. You love God, you believe in him, but something is blocking it. Something inside. Something deep. Something you tried to bury. You need to come before God completely uncovered. No filters, no rehearsed answers, no religious performance. You need to cry out like someone who's lost everything, like someone who has no strength left, like someone who can't carry this alone anymore. Because that's what the enemy fears most. A spirit that fully surrenders to the touch of the Holy Spirit. That's when he loses. That's when you start to breathe again. But it's not fast. It's not magical. It's not easy. It's a process of pain, of surrender, of exposure. You're going to have to face what you spent years trying to forget. You'll have to confront the memories. You'll have to let go of your pride. You'll have to admit you're not okay. You'll have to tear your spirit open like someone saying, I can't pretend anymore. Because only then does healing come. It's not about an emotional moment. It's not about a special service. It's about making room, stripping away the image, letting the Holy Spirit dig deep, pull out what's rotted, cleanse with truth, and renew with his presence. You don't need another answer. You need an encounter. You need that kind of peace that doesn't come when everything is fine, but when everything is surrendered. You need an inner restoration, but for that, you'll have to stop fighting in your own strength. You'll have to stop trying to fix it all. You'll have to admit you're tired and let the Spirit of God do what only He can do. Have you noticed how your gaze changes when pain settles in? How your eyes lose their light? How your smile becomes just emotion? Have you ever looked in the mirror and not recognized yourself? Have you missed the person you were before all this? The enemy wants to convince you that you'll never be the same again. But the truth is, you won't go back. You'll be reborn. Because what comes after surrender is always greater than what existed before the fall. But you need to walk this path. You need to allow the light to shine into every dark corner, every hidden resentment, every fear that still holds you back. Don't ignore what you feel. Don't downplay the words that wounded you. Don't pretend you've moved on from what still hurts. Don't normalize the silence of your spirit. Don't accept distance from God as something inevitable, because the Holy Spirit is here, right now. You feel Him, don't you? It's subtle, but it's real. It's that weight in your chest. It's that urge to cry, even if you don't know why. It's the presence that shows up in the middle of chaos. He hasn't left. You just couldn't hear Him anymore because the noise of your pain got louder. But now you feel Him. Now it's coming back. Now you can sense something different, like a breeze, like a gentle touch. It's Him. It's always been Him. He's always been there, waiting for you to stop running. The enemy knows your weaknesses, but the Holy Spirit knows everything about you. And He doesn't accuse. He doesn't point fingers. He doesn't demand. He simply calls, with patience, with tenderness, with truth. He is calling you to surrender, to stop fighting, to let yourself be healed. Because there are things you don't understand, but you need to let go. There are wounds you've tried to justify, but you need to confess. There are pains you've ignored for so long that they've become part of your identity. And He wants to pull it all out, so you can breathe again, live again, believe again. Do you feel like it's too late? It's not. Do you think you've messed everything up? You haven't. Do you believe you lost something that will never come back? It can still be restored, but you need to stop. Stop running. Stop hiding. Stop pretending. And allow the Spirit of God to visit you, not just to comfort, but to heal, to transform, to restore what the enemy tried to destroy in silence. You have a precious spirit, but it's tired, and it's okay to admit that. It's not weakness, it's being human, and it's right there, right at that point, where grace moves most powerfully. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to surrender, and let Him do the rest, because the enemy knows your weaknesses, but the Holy Spirit knows your essence. Write in the comments, Holy Spirit, fill my soul. If you long to live a life full of God's power, you're still here, I know. You didn't scroll away. You didn't walk out. Because something inside you still cries out, still hopes, still believes that there must be more, that there can be a rebirth, even after so much wear and tear. But you wonder, how? How do you start again when everything inside feels worn out? When your heart doesn't beat the same? When your mind feels like a battlefield, where the silence is heavier than the noise? When you try to draw near to God, but it feels like you're talking to the walls? You keep going through the motions. You do what you've always done. You get up, take a deep breath, and move on. But inside there's a muffled scream, an unspoken plea, a tear too afraid to fall. There's an invisible resistance, not against God, but against the fear of surrendering again. Fear of being let down again. Fear of opening the door and finding nothing there. That's the fear the enemy knows. That's where he works. He doesn't need to steal your faith, just poison what you feel in silence. Just turn your exhaustion into indifference. Just make you believe this numbness is normal, that living without feeling is part of the journey, that God's presence is for a select few, and you're not one of them anymore. But that's a lie. It doesn't matter how long you've felt this way. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried and fallen. It doesn't matter how far you feel from Him right now. Something is happening as you read this. Something is breaking. Do you feel it? It's like old layers are peeling away. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed yourself to feel. The Spirit of God is breaking the silence. bringing to the surface what you thought was buried, showing you that what's hidden isn't healed, and what isn't healed still causes pain. There's no point trying to look strong in front of God. He already sees everything. He already knows. He's already felt every suffocated thought, every sleepless night, every wave of abandonment. And even so, he keeps calling. Even so, he keeps waiting for you to stop running into yourself, and finally run to him. There's a lie that needs to be broken. The idea that God only moves in clean spaces, in tidy hearts, in lives all put together. The Holy Spirit is not repelled by pain. He's drawn to it. He doesn't reject broken pieces. He steps right into the mess. He turns ruins into holy ground. But there needs to be space. You need to let him in. You need to stop hiding the pain behind pretty words. Stop hiding the sadness behind busy schedules. Stop overthinking what you feel. God doesn't need your logic. He wants your surrender. He wants this moment. Yes, this very moment, where you have no strength left to resist, where you're tired of pretending, where you've run out of excuses, where everything inside of you is crying out for help. He wants that floor, that weakness, that silence, that lost gaze. That's where he moves. That's the kind of spirit his presence invades, not as a gentle breeze, but as something that breaks, that shakes, that pulls the dead things out. And you feel it. You know something is shifting. It's subtle, but it's real. You still don't know how you're going to keep going, but you already know you don't want to go back to the pain, back to the emptiness, back to just surviving. You weren't called to survive. You were called to live full of his presence. You were called to feel the fire that burns inside without consuming you. You were called to walk with glory clinging to your skin, with peace dwelling in the chaos, with the confidence that, even when you don't understand, you're in the right hands. But that only happens when the Spirit surrenders, when the walls come down, when pride is laid aside, when fear is called by name, when wounds are shown without spiritual makeup, when you stop trying to justify yourself and finally begin to cry out, not with pretty words, but with raw truth, with tears that don't ask for permission, with groans that heaven understands. Can you feel it? It's not just emotion. It's the Spirit touching layers you didn't even remember existed. It's him showing you there's more, that there's still life, that there's still fire, that there's still purpose, that there's still a calling echoing, not so you can do more, but so you can be again. You lost yourself trying to keep everything running, trying not to disappoint, trying to hold up an image of faith while your spirit was screaming inside. And now everything is rising to the surface. Don't run from it. Don't look away. Don't shut your heart. God isn't exposing you. He's healing you, not to shame you, but to set you free. You've tried to stay in control for too long, tried to deal with the pain the only way you knew how, tried to bury it, ignore it, spiritualize it. But the Holy Spirit doesn't work through lies. He is truth. And where there is truth, there is freedom. You need to be free. Free from that sense of not being enough. Free from that unexplained guilt. Free from that constant fear that you can't feel anymore. You can still feel. You can still hear God's voice like you did in the beginning. You can still be renewed. Your heart can be set on fire again. But you need to let go of what's been protecting you from pain, because that same protection is keeping you from healing. God is tearing down walls right now. He's stepping into places you haven't let anyone else in. He's cleaning out forgotten spaces. He's breathing over ashes, and he's saying, "It's not over yet. You've been breathing, but you haven't been living. You've been moving forward, but your heart is still tied to the past. You've spoken about faith, but you haven't been able to rest in it." And the Spirit of God is saying, it's time. It's time to stop carrying what no longer fits. It's time to stop putting off what needs to be faced. It's time to stop negotiating with the enemy for crumbs of peace. The peace the Holy Spirit gives doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't depend on what was or what could have been. It breaks into the now. It cleanses. It quiets. It holds you up. It restores. You've been silent for too long. You've gotten too used to the emptiness. You've accepted lukewarm as normal for too long. But now something new is being born. You can feel it. You don't know yet what it's going to look like. You still don't understand everything that's happening inside. But it's happening. The presence is marking you. It's reshaping what the enemy tried to distort. It's bringing sensitivity back where there was numbness. It's restoring intimacy where there was distance. You haven't been forgotten. You haven't been ignored. You haven't been abandoned. You are being visited. You are being healed. You are being renewed. And this process, it's not pretty. It's not quick. It's not easy. But it is necessary. It's deep. It's painful. It's real. And it's transformative. Don't go back. Don't shut down again. Don't numb what the Holy Spirit is trying to awaken. You've spent too much time on the surface. Now it's time to dive deeper, to allow yourself to be completely touched, not just on the outside of faith, but within the core of your spirit, in the place where no one sees, in the place where the masks come off, in the place where the presence becomes everything. That's what you need right now. Not more answers, not more promises. You need to feel again. You need to find yourself once more at the altar of the Spirit, with all that you are, with all that you lack, with all that still hurts, because it's at this altar that everything starts to make sense again. It's in this place that tears aren't a sign of weakness, but of healing. It's in this place that your eyes begin to shine again. It's in this place that your spirit starts to breathe again. Stay there. Don't resist. Let it burn. Let the Spirit work. Let the pain leave. Let heaven in. Because you are being transformed. You are being marked. And the enemy has lost access. Comment below, Holy Spirit, restore my soul. If you believe He can renew every area of your life, you thought everything had fallen apart, that there was nothing left to rebuild, that it was too late to feel again, and yet you're still here, still searching, still waiting for a sign, a word, a touch. And this is the greatest sign, the search that never went silent. The fire may have died down, but the ember never stopped burning. The Spirit never left, never walked away, never stopped whispering. Yes, you went deaf to it. Yes, you hardened. Yes, you built walls. But the Spirit, He remained. You even tried to shut it all off. You thought about giving up, letting apathy and exhaustion win. And on some days, you did. But that wasn't the end. It was never the end. Because as long as there's even a faint spark, there's hope for fire. As long as there's still a breath, there's a chance for resurrection. You don't understand it all, but you need to accept that you won't always understand. Faith doesn't require explanation. It requires surrender. It calls for submission when everything inside of you wants control. It calls for trust when everything seems to be falling apart. And right now, in this exact moment, something is shifting inside you. You know it. You don't need proof. It goes beyond logic. It's spiritual. It's deep. It's as if the Spirit of God is touching the very place that hurts, not to harm you, but to heal you, to reveal what you no longer wanted to feel, to confront what you tried to ignore, because only what's revealed can be healed. You keep trying to stay in control, but control is an illusion. You never had it. You never will. What you do have is a choice. The choice to make space. The choice to let God in, into the places where you've only allowed denial. You don't have to fake it anymore. You don't have to act strong. Not now. Not before the Spirit who knows your every breath, who was there for every tear you held back, who sat with you through every empty night, who saw you smiling on the outside while screaming inside. The presence is here. It's there with you, manifesting in the silence, in the chill that runs through you, in the memory that just returned, in the weight slowly lifting from your shoulders. It's moving through memories and promises, through pain and hope. It's rebuilding where there were only ruins. You got used to surviving in silence, but God is calling you to live in depth. You stopped expecting the extraordinary because everything got too dark, but the light is coming back, and it's not coming from outside. It's coming from within. It's coming from the Spirit. It's coming from this presence that's now surrounding you. Do you feel it? It's like everything is pausing. Time, doubt, noise, fear. Everything is slowing down. So you can listen. So you can feel. So you can allow. You've carried more than you should have. You've swallowed too much pain. You've made excuses for absences that hurt you. You've blamed yourself for things that were never your fault. And all of that has wounded your spirit. You were hurt by words that were never taken back. You were marked by silences that still scream inside you. You were worn down by waiting that never ended. But God doesn't overlook any of that. The Spirit doesn't skip over those parts. He doesn't ask you to move on like nothing ever happened. He invites you to go back, to feel, to acknowledge, to lay before Him everything that's still bleeding. You don't need formulas. You don't need well-structured advice. You don't need someone to tell you what to do. You need a presence. And that presence is here, not as a concept, but like a river, like a breath, like a touch that reaches beyond your skin. He's reaching you right now, not as someone coming to correct you, but as someone coming to love you, deeply, truly. You need that. That kind of love that isn't blind, but sees everything and loves anyway. That kind of love that doesn't bypass the pain, but steps into it. That kind of love that isn't afraid of your chaos, but sits on the ground with you until the tears stop. You need to be loved like that, and you are, right now. The Holy Spirit is unraveling lies you've believed for so long. Lies that told you were the problem, that you weren't enough, that you'd never get back up, that God's presence was for others, not for you anymore. All of that is being torn away. You're being detoxed, and it hurts, but it frees you. The invisible chains you've carried are breaking. Those voices that kept you awake, those looping thoughts, those memories that still froze you in place. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the name of the thing still holding you back. But the Spirit is right there, touching that place, asking you to let go, to surrender, to confess, to acknowledge. Because presence only fills where there's room. And you're making room right now. You're allowing. You're saying, yes, come in here too. Even without words. Even with just your eyes. Even with a tired body. Even with confused feelings. You're saying yes. And that yes changes everything. You have no idea what that yes is doing in the spiritual realm. You're not just hearing words. You're being touched by a presence. You're being moved by something beyond explanation. You're being visited, transformed. You're going to leave this moment different, not because everything around you will change, but because something inside is changing. And when what's inside changes, everything else starts to shift too. You might not even know how to pray. You may have lost the habit, but now you're praying through your surrender. You're crying out with your silence, you're interceding with your tears, and heaven understands, heaven responds, heaven moves. You are not alone, not anymore, not now. The Holy Spirit is here, and He didn't come just to stay for a moment. He came to remain. You just have to keep allowing. Don't shut down again. Don't go back to the surface. Stay open. Stay exposed. Stay surrendered. There is more, so much more. You feel it. You know it. Stay like this, because what has begun won't stop. Write in the comments. The Holy Spirit never fails. If you've ever felt His hand guiding your life, you're still there, motionless on the outside. But inside something broke, didn't it? The atmosphere isn't the same anymore. The silence isn't the same. Something feels lighter, yet so intense that it's almost frightening. That's the Spirit. That's how He comes. Not when you decide you're ready, but when you stop pretending you don't need Him. You've tried so many ways to fill the void, searched for answers everywhere, grown tired of the same speeches, the same empty promises. And the more you searched, the further it all seemed. Because what the Spirit needs is not a formula, not control. It's presence, it's truth. It's that touch that pierces through what no one else can see, that reaches places even you didn't dare to go. You carried that pain so carefully, hid it like something precious. But what you were guarding was poison, and the poison spread. It infected your emotions, your decisions, your view of God. You started to believe you couldn't feel anymore, That the time of sensitivity, of easy tears, of faith that overflowed, was behind you. But look at what's happening now. You feel again. You tremble inside. You don't understand, but you feel it. And it's not an illusion. It's the Spirit. It's Him digging deeper. So deep that He's touching memories you didn't even know were still alive. And they hurt. They sting. But at the same time, they free you. Because what was buried is starting to surface. What was oppressed is beginning to breathe. What seemed dead is showing signs of life. You thought it was just an emotional moment, maybe just another passing feeling. But the more you allow yourself, the more you realize it's not you trying to feel. It's Him pulling you back, pulling hard, with tenderness, with truth. You're not just being comforted, you're being restored. Restoration hurts, it tears, it disrupts. But it's in the middle of that chaos that true peace is born. And you'll notice, you'll start to see in the days to come, that what changed today will begin to show in even the smallest things. You'll wake up and feel that something's different. The weight won't feel the same. The emptiness won't be as loud. The silence will start to carry a sound of hope, a sound of new beginnings. You got used to the pain. It became your companion. But it was never meant to be that way. His presence didn't come just to soothe. It came to heal, and healing requires exposure. And you're exposed now. And it's in that place where God reveals Himself. Not when you're standing tall, but when you're in pieces. You don't need to run. You don't need to understand everything right now. What you need is to keep saying yes, even when you don't feel it, even when it seems like nothing's happening. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't work through feelings. He works in depth. He changes structures. He rebuilds from within. And you'll notice that the place where there was only pain is now starting to feel like peace. Yes, peace. But not the kind you've learned to fake. Not the kind that depends on pretty words. But the kind that holds you up when everything around you is still falling apart. The kind that doesn't deny the pain, but doesn't let it rule. You'll look within and say, it still hurts, but it doesn't control me anymore. You'll begin to recognize His presence in places where there used to be only guilt. You'll begin to see God in the in-between moments of life, in the space between one breath and the next. And you'll realize He's always been there, but you couldn't see it. You couldn't feel it, because you were carrying too much. You tried too hard to be strong. But now you're learning to be real. And being real is more powerful than being strong. You don't need to prove anything anymore. Not to yourself, not to anyone. You just need to stay surrendered. Keep going. Don't harden again. Don't put the armor back on. It may protect you from pain, but it also keeps you from healing. Allow it. Allow Him to go deeper. Allow Him to tear down what was built without a foundation. Allow Him to remove what you thought you needed. You'll realize it was never about losing. It was about being set free from everything you thought was necessary, from everything you used just to stay standing. But that was actually keeping you stuck. The Holy Spirit won't leave you halfway. What He started, He will finish. And don't be afraid of the process. Don't be afraid of the days when it feels like everything is getting worse. It's just what was hidden now being exposed. This isn't regression. This is healing. Healing looks like pain before it looks like peace. You're going to cry. You're going to doubt. You're going to want to give up again. But the presence won't let you go back to where you were, because now you've been touched. And once someone is touched by this presence, they are never the same. You might try to hide again. You might try to stay busy. You might try to go back to autopilot, but you won't be able to, because now something is burning, and that flame will not go out. It may get small, but it will keep burning. It will keep reminding you. It will keep calling you. And you'll come back every time you get lost. Because now you know. Now you've felt it. Now you've seen it. The presence is real, and it is everything. It's more than what you were looking for. It's more than what you thought you needed. It's everything. And it's here, right now, still here, looking at you with no rush, waiting for you without pressure, loving you without conditions. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't love based on performance. He loves based on existence. He loves because he knows everything, and still, he stays. So stay too, remain. Don't run, don't rush, just breathe and stay. Because what the Holy Spirit is building in you, no one will be able to destroy. Comment. God is my refuge. If you believe your protection and safety are in Him, you're no longer in the same place you started. Not inside, not outside. Something has shifted, even if you don't know how to name it yet. Something was pulled out, even if you still feel the echo of the pain. And that's okay, because what's deep doesn't leave all at once. The Spirit doesn't work in a hurry. He doesn't expect perfection in the next second. He continues. He remains. He doesn't just visit. He dwells. You feel it, like something's lighter, but you don't know why. It's because the weight is starting to be lifted. Not all at once, not like magic, but like freedom. Layer by layer, pain by pain, memory by memory. What you used to call my reality is being replaced by something new. And no matter how many cloudy days are still ahead, the sky has already begun to clear. This isn't about emotion. It's not hype. It's not just a moment of relief. It's the beginning of a rebuild. A spirit that was broken is starting to beat again. The breath of the Spirit is entering where there was death. And when God breathes, nothing stays the same. When God touches, what seemed forgotten blooms. You're blooming now. Even if no one sees it yet. Even if you still doubt it yourself. You tried for so long to handle it all on your own. And now you realize it was never your strength holding you up. It was the presence that never left you. You thought it was your willpower, but it was grace. You thought it was your resilience, but it was the Spirit holding your hands, even when you wanted to let go. You carry memories that still hurt, scars that still throb. And that's okay. Don't pretend you don't feel it. Don't try to throw the pain away like it's a sin. It's not. The pain only shows that something still needs to be touched. And the Holy Spirit doesn't stay away from fragile places. He draws near. He doesn't wait for you to heal before He shows up. He shows up to heal. And that's what's happening. You tried to erase memories that still scream. Tried to convince yourself that you were over it. But now, it's all coming to the surface. Not to destroy you, but to cleanse you. To set you free. To restore. When the Spirit of God reveals something, it's not to expose. It's to heal. Because what isn't acknowledged stays rooted. And you're allowing it to be revealed now. That is faith. That is courage. You'll see. The places where you used to bleed will be the same places where you will pour out. The areas once filled with fear will be the very places the Spirit will move through. You thought they were flaws, but they were openings. Spaces where the glory will enter. The Holy Spirit doesn't choose the strong. He reveals Himself to those who know that without Him, there is no life. And you recognized it. Even with doubts, even with exhaustion, even without knowing how to move forward, you said yes. That yes is worth more than 1,000 words. That yes changes destinies. You said yes with your tears, with your silence, with your racing heart. You said yes even without the strength to raise your hands.